As the war for talent continues, SANRAL is committed to stay at the forefront of securing, developing and growing human capital, this in disciplines that are core to its purpose and vision. The SANRAL University Tour is a key initiative to drive innovation by exposing and preparing raw talent to face the challenges and the demands that are needed for intelligent roads infrastructure. So the tour doesn't just introduce young engineers to various opportunities, but it also strives to ensure that they develop at tertiary level the knowledge and the skills that are required for emerging competencies. And this they do on real-world projects aimed at improving safety on the road for you and I.
Each and every one of you will see a piece of yourself, a piece of what you do in what we do.
My name is Prof Hlahla. I'm the regional manager for SANRAL's Northern Region. We manage Gauteng, Limpopo, the Northwest and the Mpumalanga provinces. We have to put our money where our mouth is and make sure that we walk our own talk. We cannot talk about development, about research and not fund those areas. So we must partner with tertiary institutions where we develop, for example, what we call chairs in engineering, which are key innovation hubs to further the knowledge base we have in Africa and to develop and sustain African solutions to African problems.
My name is Prof Hoffman. I'm leader of the Intelligent Systems Research Group. We form part of the School for Electrical, Electronic and Computer Engineering, forming part of the Faculty of Engineering of Northwest University, Potchefstroom campus. Our work mostly focuses on the application areas of the fourth industrial revolution. While it may seem quite peaceful here, we're actually in the middle of a revolution, a technology and expertise revolution. And my specific work in the field of intelligent transportation systems is basically the application of all the areas of expertise of this Industry 4.0 onto transportation, both in terms of transport infrastructure as well as transport operations. And in that sense, we are being funded by SANRAL. Our activities then form part of the so-called SANRAL research program that's been running over the past 2 years.
My name is Andrea Fiorita. I'm doing my master's, finishing my master's this year. I'm working with Prof Hoffman. With the SANRAL team, doing the ITS section of the project, assessing the road degradation.
Matumbadzurani Eric, a small boy from the Limpopo province. I'm responsible for the air pollution part, so the air pollution caused by vehicles moving on roads, which counts about 30% of the CO2 emissions are released into the atmosphere.
I'm a first-year master's student at NVE, and I'm working on the same project as Andrea, the embedded sensor.
The work that we are seeing here forms part of the so-called Sensors and IoT project. We also have a so-called Big Data project, and we also have a so-called Foresight project. The Foresight project looks ahead at what should happen over the next 20, 30, 40 years. The Sensors and IoT, which is the focus of what we're doing on here, is new ways of sensing what's happening in the world of relevance to the industry funder. In this case, what's happening to the road infrastructure that SANRAL is responsible for. And then also, in which way is traffic using the infrastructure and how does traffic behave? And big data is then, once you have captured all the data, what do we actually do with the data to make sense out of it? Since the data must be used to advise the owner of the infrastructure or the operator of the infrastructure to do their work more effectively, more intelligently, and to the benefit of the general public in terms of users of the road, both in terms of quality of infrastructure as well as the quality of the experience when you use the road. Do you sit in congestion or do you have smoothly running traffic that gets you to your destination safely and in time? Essentially, it's the traffic and the weather that damage the road. And if you know exactly what traffic is moving and what's the interaction between the traffic and the state of the road at that point in time and over a long period of time, then you can manage the access of traffic to certain roads and the design specifications of roads that needs to carry certain kinds of traffic more effectively to once again make the infrastructure as suitable as possible for the conditions under which it will be utilized. Then for the rest, there's obviously a flowing out of information to the general public to advise them maybe about the role that universities play within the context of being at the forefront of the technology in important industries. I mean, the roads infrastructure is one of the most primary elements of infrastructure that not only the public but also our economy depends upon. The roads are used to transport more than 90% of passenger transport in this country and more than 80% of cargo transport, and we're all dependent on that. If we have no roads, the economy can't function, and we'll have low quality of life. So I think the public out there needs to know where their money is going to fund education and training and research, and how that money is being converted into knowledge to enable entities like SANRAL, that are the custodians of very important infrastructure, to do their work as effectively as possible to the benefit of the economy and the public at large. I talked about sensors and IoT. IoT stands for Internet of Things. The things in this case is sensors built into the road surface with the purpose of measuring inside the road material how much does the road deflect when vehicles move across it, and what is the humidity and the moisture levels. I said that water is a road's biggest enemy. You need to know the moisture content of the road and also the temperature. Bitumen gets soft when it's very warm, so the material becomes more flexible, but it also more easily permanently deforms. So we are measuring all those things inside the road, and we connect it through a wireless communication means eventually to the internet. We are using a technology called Hlahla, which is a wireless sensor network technology that links up to the internet, and then you have that information available on the internet in real time anywhere where you want to use it. The other element is intelligently interpreting whatever those sensors are measuring to make sense out of it. Firstly, you have to reduce the amount of raw data to make the amount of data small enough to communicate over these wireless sensor networks. If you try to communicate all the raw data, it will just be too much, and we have to use devices that are very low in power consumption, because we are driving that whole thing with a small little solar cell that makes the whole device self-contained. So you put it inside the road and it will live there for the next 10 years, no wiring, not for power, not for communication, and it will be collecting the state of that piece of road for as long as you keep it in a good state of maintenance. So they are basically designing electronics that they put in suitable packaging that is then suitable to fit into the road, and we're using fairly standard sizes of holes in the road. Once they have built a new road, they always cut these typically 100 millimeter diameter sections out of the road to take to a laboratory and test to see whether the road was built well enough. So we drill similar holes, we fill them up in such a way that the integrity of the road will not be compromised, and we then start measuring, communicate the data and interpret it to see if we can extract from those sensor measurements the kind of insights that the custodian of the road needs to do their job as optimal as possible.
We are running this at a national level. So we are targeting, each year we target different universities and having different conversations with mostly engineering students. We think by the time we are done, we would have reached each and every university or technicon in the country. We want this conversation to continue. And for those where we are not able to reach them much earlier in the process, we hope through our YouTube channel, our TV channel, that they are able to access some key information. We also hope through our social media handles that they're able to look at what we are doing and where we are going as a company, and to a very large extent as a country. And we continue to hope that there is enough traction in this social space, in these discussions. And yes, the impact will remain at that level at all tertiary institutions that we think are relevant to the work SANRAL does.
As the world continues to evolve at a pace, it's clear that programs like this go a long way in preparing our young people to face the challenges of our time and those of the future.